Here we go. How to be a mom, wife, and high achiever, all with balance. Is it impossible? Let's see. We all find ourselves being ambitious, and oftentimes that brings in overwhelm as well. So, what does it look like when we balance the harmony of having the family, having the work life, all of the things at the same time, and we feel good and honorable about what we're doing and how we're doing it? That's what today's episode's all about. And if that interests you, make sure you like, subscribe. So let's think about it. We have goals, right? We are ambitious. We want to do this or we want to do that. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we keep those meaningful relationships with those people that we love, making our priorities and not letting things bleed in and over. So let's talk about 7 steps that'll help you get there quicker and maybe a little easier. Number one, we've got to prioritize our time wisely. And here's your tip. You want to schedule that time for work and family, as well as personal care to ensure that you don't have any areas that are neglected. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 3:1, for everything there is a season, and for every time, and a time for every matter under heaven. God calls us to recognize the value of different priorities in our life and to set aside time for each of those. Number two, establishing boundaries. When we have boundaries, we know what we can do, when we can do it, and how. Establishing boundaries between work and family time is super important to making sure you have that work-life balance. Boundaries don't just say, I love you, they say, I love me too. And while you're thinking about these boundaries, think about things that are going to come against them, whether that be people or situations or just internal beliefs. In Second Thessalonians 3:3, it says, but the Lord is faithful. He will establish you and guard you against evil. Setting healthy boundaries is a really easy way to be able to protect those things that are important to you, whether it be family or work. Tip number three, delegating and asking for help. When possible, delegate. Both at work and at home. It'll help you to not feel overwhelmed. When we delegate, essentially what we're doing is asking for help. And I know sometimes that's hard to do, but if we want to live a balanced life, we're going to have to do some things that are not always easy. If you want to avoid overwhelm, delegating is your biggest key factor. It doesn't have to be done perfect. It just has to be done. Ecclesiastes 4:9 says, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. Essentially, what that means is when you put two people together on a project, it's going to be better than one. I know you want to do it all yourself. You want to say you did it. The thing about it is if you delegate it, then you did do it. You set it up, you made it happen. So you're still in charge and it still gets to be done the way that you want it done, but you're not having to do everything. Next, step number 4 is practice self-care. We've all heard that it's really hard to pour out of an empty cup. What if your cup was so full that you didn't have to pour out of it? People were able to get from the overflow. You got to take time to recharge yourself, whether that be through prayer, through time alone, exercise, or hobbies. Matthew 11:28 says, come to me, all who labor and are heavy burdened. I will give you rest. God encouraged us to take time for ourselves. He set aside the Sabbath to do so. When you think about the way God created the earth, He rested. It is okay for you to rest. You don't have to do it all and do it all the time. When you rest, you'll be able to pour more of yourself into what you're doing, creating more balance. It is really hard to keep a balanced life when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're overwhelmed, and when you're stressed. Taking some time for yourself is going to be a way to see what is important to you, what you're missing, and what you need. Number 5, being present in the moment. When you're with family, being fully present. And when you're at work, being fully present. We often think that multitasking is what we're supposed to do. However, it is proven that no job gets done its best ability when it is done in a multitask environment. Giving your full attention to your kids when you're at home or your spouse versus giving your full attention to work when you're at work will allow you to show up and give your best in each situation. If you're bouncing back and forth between the two, it's going to be much harder to keep the balance. Tip number 6, embrace flexibility and grace. Be kind to yourself when things do not go as planned and allow for flexibility. It's going to allow you to adapt without feeling overwhelmed. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. What that means is we are allowed to be weak. We are allowed to accept God's grace. We are allowed to mess it up and be flexible and fix it. When you can find some flexibility and some grace for yourself, you can see where the balance is, where it's off, and how to adjust. It also is going to allow you to do it quicker and quicker each time without feeling the guilt that you're going to pull from the last time that you feel like you failed. And last but not least, and one of the most important, trust God with your plans. God knows that you are overwhelmed. He knows how you feel, and He knows the secrets of your heart. When you go to Him with your plan and ask for peace in the balance, He gives what you ask for. It says Proverbs 3:6, acknowledge Him in all ways, and He will make your path straight. God gives us direction if you're willing to hear and listen to what that direction is. God is at the center of everything we do, and He gives the guidance. He leads us towards balance and success. I hope you've enjoyed these 7 tips that'll help you get a little closer to balance as a working mom and wife who is a high achiever and a go-getter. If you like this content, make sure you subscribe and click the like button. That way you see all our future videos. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon.